Scott just made the point. Jeff Jefferson
seems to be a lot more secure, not just. Is your smartphone too smart for the FBI? Now, if you own a current iPhone or an upcoming Android phone, the FBI director, James Comey, says that's right, you are making the world a more dangerous place. You can believe that? I'm Steve Green. This is Trifecta. Let's bring on Bill Whittle and Scott Ott and find out if that's right, you with your iPhone or your Galaxy, if you're a national security threat. Gents, let's get right to it. Here's James Comey talking with Scott Pelley on 60 Minutes Sunday night.
Until now, a judge could order those companies to unlock a criminal suspect's phone. But their new software makes it impossible for them to crack a code set by the user.
The notion that we would market devices that would allow someone to place themselves beyond the law troubles me a lot. As a country, I don't know why we would want to put people beyond the law. That is, sell cars with trunks that couldn't ever be opened by law enforcement with a court order, or sell an apartment that could never be entered, even by law enforcement. Would you want to live in that neighborhood?
Yes, I would.
I'd rent that apartment.
Yes,
right.
I would.
All right, Bill. Yes. Bill, let's pretend for a moment that you're a menace to society. I mean, more than usual. The FBI shows up at One Infinite Loop and presents a subpoena to Tim Cook himself, demanding access to your phone in order to reveal whether they need to cut the red wire or the blue wire to disarm the time bomb you left ticking inside the Washington Monument. And Tim Cook says, sorry, Dave, I can't do that. Shouldn't the FBI have some sort of backdoor to defeat encryption, to defeat just this kind of ticking time bomb scenario?
Well, we get down to the crux of the matter now, Steve, and that crux of the matter is the activity of law enforcement in the cases of people trying to disarm atomic bombs, because God knows there's hundreds of thousands of those every day. Does that outweigh an individual person's right to liberty as protected under the Fourth Amendment? The answer is it does not. This is the argument that they will use to justify any kind of intrusion on any level whatsoever. You can take that argument into the ground. You can apply that same argument to any protections of privacy, and it just never stops. What that man was basically saying is, do you want to live in a country where law enforcement can't have access to your stuff? I do. And the reason I do is because looking at the world historically, I believe that a police state is a greater threat to an individual American citizen than a terrorist with a nuclear weapon. I believe it completely. I think if these guys were concentrating on terrorist networks, they should concentrate on terrorist networks. The idea that an individual citizen would be able to actually protect his privacy, as guaranteed in the Fourth Amendment, is something that's obviously very disturbing to this guy. Now, he's saying, well, what happens if we got warrants? Well, unfortunately for law enforcement, you guys have not been getting warrants. The National Security Agency has been collecting every piece of information, every piece of data on the American people without warrants for years now. So don't tell me that you can be trusted with this power, because you've already shown that you can't be trusted with this power. The idea that an individual citizen can lock something away privately that can't be broken into by the federal government, I find actually extremely appealing.
So do I. But on the other side of the encryption issue, we have a political refugee, Eric Snowden, who recently sat down for an extended Google Plus interview for the New Yorker Festival. I want to show you him. He's talking about which companies don't respect your privacy.
Same thing with companies like Facebook, with companies like Google. They've made strides to increase the security of their programs, and they're getting better than they have been, but they're still not safe. You know, these are dangerous services, and you need to use alternatives that are better encrypted.
Now, Scott, on the one hand, you have Google and Facebook who make millions, billions, selling our metadata to advertisers. On the other hand, you have Apple and, well, here's Google again, working to fully secure the personal private data on your smartphone. Is the problem that we encrypt too little, or that on our social networks that we share too much?
Well, listen, first of all, in order for me to be a national security threat, I don't need one of these. I just need this right here, baby. Dun, 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 dun. And maybe these two here.
Kill you
but, you know, Snowden, who is probably correct about this, leaves out some valuable information. For example, Dropbox encrypts your information while it's traveling from your computer to Dropbox's servers. It encrypts your information while it's on Dropbox's servers. It just doesn't encrypt your information while it's on your computer. So it's not Dropbox's fault that you have unencrypted information on your computer. That's your responsibility. But, you know, yeah, we are in this quandary right now. We want to share everything, and we want to protect our privacy. And I decided a long time ago, once I tapped into the internet, I realized that, you know, as one of the guys on Seinfeld once said, I'm out there, Jer. I mean, it's the wild, wild west. And if I have something I really don't want people to know about, if that were the case, I wouldn't put it anywhere where it was connected to a network.
Yeah, there's only a thin layer of gabardine separating us from Scott Ott. There's your obscure Seinfeld reference for the day, folks. All right, I want to go back to that Snowden interview for just a moment because he had something instructive to say about our rights in the future.
When you say, I have nothing to hide, you're saying, I don't care about this right. You're saying, I don't have this right because I've got to the point where I have to justify it. The way rights work is the government has to justify its intrusion into your rights. You don't have to justify why you need freedom of speech. You don't have to justify why you need the right to be left alone without any kind of reasonable suspicion or probable cause.
So let me leave you with one last question. What does it mean when it takes a fugitive from the law to remind us of our sovereign rights? For Scott Ott and Bill Whittle, I'm Steve Green.